Urban Toronto's latest analysis dives into how urban development in the City of Toronto is shaped by policy changes at the municipal, provincial, and federal levels. They can either spur or slow down development projects. Here is a quick summary. First, a quick background on how new towers get approved to begin construction. It's a 5-step process. Step 1, a developer submits a development application to the city, including architectural plans, environmental studies, and more. On top of paying for all of the studies, developers also have to pay a hefty fee just for submitting the application. Step 2, the developer makes changes based on feedback from city planners. This costs even more time and money. Step 3, City Council is then supposed to vote on the final proposal. If they refuse the application or take too long to make a decision, the developer has the option to spend even more time and money to appeal to something called the Ontario Land Tribunal. Step 4. Once finally approved, whether at Council or the OLT, the developer is then allowed to apply for building permits, which also cost money. At the same time, developers have to separately pay what are called development charges, which are used to fund municipal services to the new structure. Step 5. Only after all the development applications are approved, development charges are paid, and building permits are issued, can developers actually start construction, which is funded by borrowing lots of money from several lenders, which they have to pay interest on as they build. It's as easy as that. The bottom line is that developers respond to incentives, and incentives involve money. Developers respond quickly to cost-related policy changes, adapting their plans accordingly. While developers also respond to demand-related customer preferences, we're only going to focus on the effects of policy in this video. One local policy is the cost of submitting a development application. When these costs are expected to rise, developers try to avoid them. For example, fees rise every year in January, so developers avoid them by submitting more applications leading up to January in the fourth quarter. Increased affordable unit minimums also represented an increase in costs, so developers responded accordingly. Another local policy is zoning, which determines where new developments are allowed to go. Despite the feeling that condos are going up everywhere, they are actually being proposed in the same areas year over year. Toronto's elimination of parking minimums had a very noticeable impact. While more developers propose very few parking spots per residential unit, the minimums also served as an anchor reference. Removing them led to more experimentation among developers, leading some developers to propose even more parking spots per unit than before. Development charges also impact how developers plan construction. When development charges were scheduled to rise significantly in May 2023, which was itself a response to changes in provincial policy, fewer projects began construction in the spring and summer of that year compared to previous years. In addition to influencing how municipalities collect development charges and other fees, the Ontario government's More Homes Built Faster Act clarified incentives to build around major transit stations. So developers applied to build more around major transit stations. In terms of federal policy, interest rates set nationally by the Bank of Canada have a significant impact on both home buyers and developers who need to borrow big in order to start building. Ever since rates started increasing, unsurprisingly, new units proposed per month started decreasing. Balancing development costs and housing needs is a delicate task for policymakers, directly affecting urban growth and city services. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for developers and policymakers alike. For even more insights, read the full article on urbantoronto.ca.